Hi, my name is Drew Saur, and welcome to this introductory video for Drew Saur Coaching. In this video, we're going to focus on 6 essentials to land an executive level role. Because throughout my corporate career, as well as coaching dozens of people in my coaching practice, it always came down to these 6 ideas as the key things that you need to do to advance and thrive at the executive level. And that's really the foundation of my coaching practice. So today, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on me, about Drew Saur Coaching. We'll spend most of the time going through the 6 essentials, and then I'll share some of the programs that I offer at the moment. So before we get into the 6 essentials, just a little bit of background on me. As I said, my name is Drew Saur. I'm an executive career coach, and I help technology leaders, typically in the director and VP range, who are trying to move into the executive level. Because back in my career, I started with Accenture. I had a great career moving for the first 8 years. I then moved to sort of industry and had a great career from there, ending up as a technology chief operating officer, running a group of over 700 people. And there was really only one moment in my career where the promotions became a bit trickier, where I didn't get it when I was expecting to. And that was that move to the executive level. And what I discovered in there was that the rules change. We're used to, at the beginning of our career, we deliver, we go above and beyond, people think we're great, and then you get a bigger opportunity. But then at some point that stops working. And to get to the executive levels, you need to do something different. And after I passed it, I became a managing director. As the chief operating officer, I was also in charge of hiring and promotions, and I saw this pattern again and again. Great directors, even at the VP level, who wanted to move up, and they all had the same things that they weren't focused on because they were still doing the things that made them great at the beginning of their career. So I founded Drew Saur Coaching because when I had the opportunity, having met what I wanted to do in the corporate career, I realized my favorite part was leadership development. My favorite part was helping other people get to where they want to go in their career. So that's why a couple years ago, I left the corporate world and I founded Drew Saur Coaching. Because my goal is to get future leaders the ability to get into the executive levels, to get the fulfillment and the compensation that comes with it. So let's dive into the 6 essentials to land an executive role. So first up, essential number 1 is define career success. And it's really important to know, what are you looking for? So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to go through the common mistake that people make, as well as a better way to do it. So what's the common mistake here? The common mistake is concentrating on title and compensation. Those are obviously important. A lot of people want to be a C-suite title. They want to be a CIO, a CTO, a CEO. But a lot of job satisfaction comes from the other aspects. And you can see here, the top reasons people hate their jobs: it's the boss, it's not being challenged, not being appreciated, no room for advancement. There are all these other aspects that will determine whether or not this job is a success for you. So you want to think about what that might be. So what's the better approach? Is to figure out what matters to you. And there's really 2 things. I usually say, what does winning mean, right? There's the external stuff, and that's usually the easy stuff. So the title, is the comp, it's how many people you have reporting to, but it's also the personal stuff, right? And people who know about work-life balance, all of these kind of things. So that's classic. And the thing that I would add to it is what I call your average Wednesday. Because if you don't enjoy the day-to-day responsibilities, you're not going to enjoy the job, regardless of how much you enjoy the title and the compensation, right? So think about things. How much autonomy do you want? Where do you want to spend your time? Do you want to spend your time in meeting with other people? Do you want to spend your time thinking in your office? If you're meeting, with who? Do you want to be out with clients? Do you want to be meeting with the other executives, your staff, etc.? So the first thing to do is figure out, what does success mean for you? What is that profile that you want? And then go find it. Because a lot of people, they just figure out what's out there, they apply. What I want you to do is start to think about, step 1 is define what success is, and then go find the role. And that's not only the job postings, but it's also headhunters, networking, internal. There are a lot of opportunities there, but the first step is you need to know what career success means for you. So that's essential number 1. Number 2 is clarifying your unique value. So what's the mistake here? Biggest mistake is not differentiating yourself. And I see this all the time. When I ask people to say, what is your value story? They say, I have tons of experience. I'm a highly motivated self-starter. I'm a passion for problem solving. I've managed teams. I deliver. And so has everybody else. right? So anytime there's a job, there's probably over 100 people applying, and recruiters, as they say, look at your resume for 5 to 7 seconds. That's how much time you have, right? Hiring managers often in the first 90 seconds. So you don't really have a lot of time. And if you say the same thing that everybody else says, you will not be differentiating yourself, and you'll just be in a sea of people. So what is the better approach? The better approach focuses on 2 key ideas. The first is you need to have a story. You need to know what separates you from everybody else. You need to have a unique value proposition. The second key idea is that people hire to solve their problems. So why do I post a job? Because something's not going right, right? If everything was great, why would I pay somebody to do some work I didn't need them to do, right? So the idea is there is a problem. And so what you want to figure out is your value proposition is the type of problems that you uniquely solve. So you can see on the bottom, the way I would suggest you do this is go look at your stories. What I mean by that is, what do people say about you? Go look at your old performance reviews. What's on your resume? What are the things that you do? And figure out the themes. And the themes are the things that appear again and again in your history. Are you an amazing team builder? Are you great with people? Do you have a great network? Okay, that's a piece. Are you a strategic thinker, right? Are you a super subject matter expert? Do you know the technical details? Are you an organization builder? What is the thing that you do that is above and beyond what everybody else in the job is going to do, right? And what you want to do is find an unusual combo, right? So a super technical person who's also great with people, right? That's usually unusual, right? You have people, as you say, right? And the idea is that people are great with interacting in relationships, typically do not have the same technical depth, and vice versa. So if you are somebody who has both of those, that is an unusual combo. And that unusual combo is your unique value proposition. I can solve the technical problem, but I'm also great with people, so I can work with the partners to make sure we solve the overall problem. So that's number 2, clarify your unique value. So number 1, what does success mean for you? Number 2, clarify your unique value. Number 3, sharpen your message. You need to be able to communicate concisely. And so what's the mistake here? The mistake is relying on details. And this is the classic technology-based director level mistake, because a lot of us, myself included, and I had to overcome this, was we've been trained typically, science engineering backgrounds, more data equals more proof is more convincing. But unfortunately, that doesn't work at the executive levels. So often the non-executives will talk about the how. We have a problem and we got it fixed. So what happened? Well, first I talked to so-and-so, then I talked to so-and-so, then we looked at the logs, then we did X, then we did Y, then we did Z, and we found this really interesting thing over here. I'm telling you exactly how I solved the problem. The executives don't really care about that, right? A lot of people add detail when they get nervous, right? So that's what we did. Silence. Well, let me add some more because it seems like I didn't convince you, so let me keep talking, right? It's a very natural tendency. A lot of people do it. And then the flip side is unable to condense their message, right? So you go to a meeting, you've got a 20-minute slot, you're all prepped. You go, it's a management committee. You walk in and they go, sorry, running late, you've got 5 minutes. What do? A lot of people then continue to tell their 20-minute story and everybody gets frustrated because can't get to the point. So what happens if you do that? There's this perception that you're too in the weeds, right? You're not focused on the big picture. Worst case is you're boring or difficult to listen to, but generally you come across as unexecutive because you're not focused on the things that executive people are looking for. So what's the better approach? Is you need to build an executive communication toolkit, right? So these are ways to communicate to executives that resonate, respect their time, and get to the point quickly. And so there's a whole set of these, like when I work with people, there's a whole set of things you can learn. But for today, I just want to give you one example. And it's the what, so what, now what model. And the rule is when communicating with executives, you get 3 statements, 3 bullets, 3 sentences, depending on what form you're in. That's it. So it starts with what? What is the information that's most important? What level of detail? And then you can figure out the format. So what? Why is it important? Why are you telling me this now? And 3 is now what? Who needs to do what? More specifically, is there anything I, who you are telling, need to do about it? So a quick example here. And again, I'm from a technology background. So there's a production bug. So what's going on? The reconciliation report isn't working. Okay, that's the what. Okay, that's it. It's not working. Why is that important? Well, it's important because this is the report that our clients use to file with the regulators, and if they don't, they might be subject to fines. Okay, now I know why I care about this, because if this was a random report that nobody ever uses and it's broken, who cares? Let it be. But wait a minute, this is the key report that our clients use and they might get fined. Okay, now you have my attention. So the what, the so what. So the now what? Couple choices. I need you to approve this, midday change control so we can fix the report. I need you to do something. I'm very clear about that. Or we're putting in a change at noon. It should be resolved by 1 o'clock. I will let you know. So now the clear action is with me, because what you don't want to do is leave an open loop with an executive. Was I going to follow up or was he going to follow up? Right? You want to give them clear answer of who's doing what and when. So again, that's it. 3 bullets, 3 sentences, 3 statements. What, so what, now what? And again, it's a popular one. A lot of my clients like it. It's just a very simple way to think about when you're communicating, particularly with executives who don't have a lot of time, have a lot of other focuses, stick to the basics. But overall, again, sharpen your message. So that's the first 3. What's next? Okay, now that you can sharpen your message, you need to elevate your content, which means you need to talk about different things. So the mistake, focusing on delivery, right? So being amazing at your job does not mean you're going to succeed at the next level. The next level is a different job. So what happens, particularly as you're trying to make the transition to the executive level, is that you talk too much about delivery, operations, incidents, day-to-day challenges. What are you focused on? I'm trying to get this product out the door. I'm trying to get, this issue solved. I'm trying to get the team. I've got the schedules. I've got the risks. You talk about all the day-to-day stuff. And what's going to happen, you're perceived as a good soldier, dependable, and highly valued in your role, which is not a good thing. Why? Because if you're the get-it-done person, and again, a lot of my clients, they're always the get-it-done person. You give it to me, I'll take care of it, no problem. So you take care of it. What am I going to do as your leader? I'm going to say, wow, Sally's awesome at getting stuff done. She just fixed this really complicated problem. Do I have another complicated problem that I can have Sally go fix? Why, yes, I do. Sally, can you go fix this? And what you find is you get put in the same situation over and over. Everybody loves you. They think you're great. You get all these great reviews, but you're not advancing. It's because you're so good at what you do that you're not setting yourself up for what you want to do. So what's the better approach? The better approach is to realize that executives don't deal with day-to-day issues, right? That's why they have managers and directors. Instead, you want to focus on higher level topics, right? For example, do you build teams or do you build organizations, right? Do you get things done, right? What do you actually say? And these words are very important. So a lot of this transition is literally about the words that you use, right? So executives build organizations, right? Or junior people build teams. Simple example. What do you talk about when you talk about a project? You talk about product features. We're trying to get these features out the door. This is the release. Or do you talk about client benefits, right? These new features will allow our clients to. Do you talk about the clients, right? Do you talk about the end users? Do you talk about the business impact, right? Revenue impact, the cost associated, the business value, or are you talking about the day-to-day, right? And the third one, and this is a classic one, again, I was guilty of all of these, so, don't feel bad if you've done this, but, when you have a go live, again, particularly for those technology folks, is that the end or the beginning of the conversation, right? So for most of my career, going live was the end. You have a go live party, everybody celebrates, woohoo, it's live. Now let's go build the next thing, right? That's a delivery mindset. Why? Because in a business, going live is day one. Going live is when clients actually can access the features. And now the questions are they using them? Are they paying for them? How much revenue are we getting? What's the ongoing growth of this feature, right? Those are the business conversations, and they start when you go live, right? So this just gives you a sense of where are your conversations levels today, and what you want to do is raise your conversation up so that, you can't do this 100% because you do have a day job, but 20 to 30 to 40% of your conversations are about staffing and business plans and strategy and risk and financials, things that the executives, particularly 1 and 2 levels above you, talk about. So you need to elevate your content. So that's number 4. Number 5, improve your influence, because this is the key to succeed at the executive level. So what is the mistake? The mistake is making it about yourself, right? And this is, again, a thing you have to untrain, because for most of our careers, we've been trained to improve ourselves, right? And I just told you, how should you be speaking? Speak clearly, practice what you're going to say. Like, all these personal development ideas are great and very important, but they're all about how to improve ourselves. But when it gets to the executive levels, influence is about them. Because think about it, if you get to the top, again, I'm a technology background, if you become the CIO, CTO, and you're the head of technology, by definition, all of your peers are non-technical people. You're dealing with the head of product, you're dealing with the head of marketing, the head of finance, the head of legal, the CEO. They're all non-technical people, and none of them work for you, right? So they don't have to do what you say. So the only way you can get them to do things is to influence them. So how do you approach that? So basically, to be an influential communicator, you need to align your messages to the audience. It's not how you want to hear it, it's how they want to hear it. And the idea, again, is to build the toolkit, right? You have a few styles that you naturally engage with. So there's people you can talk to all day and you have a very good relationship with, and there are others that you're probably less comfortable with. And it comes down to two things. One is their motivation. What are they trying to do? Simple example here. You take a CIO, right? And that person actually wants to become CEO, right? If they want to become CEO, they're going to want to take some risks. They want to have bold and big initiatives. They're going to do something really impressive so they can get the board to believe that they could actually take over this organization. Same role, CIO, going to retire in 2 years. If you're going to retire in 2 years, much different motivation. You are trying not to mess things up, right? You don't want to make any mistake. You just want to ride out the next 2 years and finish up smoothly. So when you present a proposal to those people, same job, very different motivations. You have to understand it. So what is their motivation? What are they trying to achieve? You need to understand that. And then you need to understand what is their engagement style, right? And again, there's many different ways to think about this, but this idea of, are they numbers people, right? Are they stories? So if you're meeting with a CFO, an accountant, you got to have your numbers. You got to have the details. They're going to want to know that stuff. If you're meeting with the head of marketing, they generally could care less for the numbers. They want to hear the story. They want to feel something when you're talking to them. So that's a very simple example of a difference, engagement style. So if you get the motivation, you get the engagement style, you put them together, now you can influence that person. But this is the key skill. So that's number 5. And finally, number 6, you have to be able to convince the decision makers, right? So the whole idea of this conversation was you want an executive role, you want to get to your next level. So the last thing you need to do is convince people you are the right person for the job. So the mistake here is being the perfect candidate, right? And what I mean by that is you look at the role, you look at the job description, and you try to match it as closely as possible. What you are doing is doing exactly what everybody else does, right? You're saying, I am qualified to do this. I could totally do this. As a hiring manager, by the time I get to the end, I already have 10, maybe 50 people who could do the job. So the question is, why you? So what's the better way? Think of the job description as a rough outline of the need, right? And typically, oftentimes people take 5 or 10 minutes. It's a lot of boilerplate from HR. It doesn't tell you a lot. So to get the position you want, you need to think of the answer to 3 real questions. So first is, what do they want, right? What is the problem? Is revenue not going fast enough? Are they having quality problems? What is the team? Why are they not getting it, right? What is missing? And then how can you resolve your problem? Again, simple example here, I'm hiring a VP of engineering, or let's say I'm hiring a CIO, right? What is the problem that I'm trying to solve? Example number 1, the place is a mess, right? Stuff's breaking. We have lots of incidents. It's all stable. It goes down. I need someone who can clean this up. I need someone who's process focused. I need someone who can put in controls and monitors and improve the testing. I need someone who can kind of operationally fix this stuff. That's CIO role number 1. CIO role number 2 is, yeah, everything works okay, but our platforms are aging, right? So we need somebody who can take us to the next level. I want to go to the cloud. I want to go mobile, whatever it is. So now I need an architect mindset. I need a strategist. I need somebody who understands the evolution of platforms and can tell me where to go. Different type. Number 3, technology's fine. Everything works, but everybody hates IT, right? Relationships are just really poor. So I need is somebody who's a great relationship builder, a great communicator who can work with the business leads and repair all those relationships. Same job, I want a CIO, but what is my problem? And so that's your job, is to figure out what are the problems that they're trying to solve, so that you don't go in there and say, I can run an organization, I can develop, I can deploy, I know all these pipeline issues, I can do the job. Again, so can everybody else. I can do the job, but my specialty is taking transformational platforms and moving people to the cloud. If that's what you need, I have a specific expertise that all these other people do not. That's why you want to hire me, right? So you need to think of that differentiator. How do you solve that problem? This goes all the way back to your unique value proposition that we talked about earlier. So that's the 6 things. So to recap, here are the 6 essentials. The mistake, concentrating on title comp. What do you want to do? Define career success holistically. Think 5 years out. What will your life look like? What do you want to do on a day-to-day basis? Number 2, you sound like everybody else. You're not differentiating yourself. You need to clarify your unique value. What is it that you do uniquely well? Number 3, when you communicate, you just talk about details. You go into way too much depth and you're not getting your message across to the right executives. You need to sharpen your message. Number 4, you talk about your day job all the time. If you want to move up, you need to elevate your content, talk about higher level issues. Number 5, thinking about all the stuff you can do, all the stuff your team can do, all the stuff you can do to improve. Well, at the senior levels, it's about the partnership. It's about working with others. So you need to improve your influence. And lastly, trying to be the perfect candidate. Again, there's going to be 10, 20, or more people who can do the job. That is not the question. The question is, what can you do uniquely well to solve my problem? And that's how you want to convince me. So the key idea here is that executive promotions require a new approach. So as I said, this is a really introductory video. These are 6 fundamental ideas, and hopefully you got some things that you might be able to work on as you go forward. So now what, right? These 6 steps are easy to say, but hard to do for 3 reasons, right? 1, it's very hard to see yourself objectively. You probably listened to what I said today, and you probably recognize a few of these traits in yourself, but it's very hard to see that over time because it's just hard to be objective when it comes to ourselves. The other piece is it's also hard to come up with unique ideas and approaches. Okay, you need a unique value story, easier said than done. So having somebody else look at your stuff to say, I can help craft that value story for you, can be very valuable. And fundamentally, it's about accountability, right? Everybody has a day job, everybody's got a lot on their plate. Do you have the time and energy that you need to change? And how are you going to keep yourself accountable? And it's just hard to do by yourself, which is why it works much better if you have a partner, right? And obviously that can be anybody. That can be your spouse, that can be a friend, that can be a colleague, right? Or it can be somebody like me, who is a coach.